Okay, well, hello everyone. Welcome back. Good to see you. Good to see you. Glad you can join us. You are in for a treat. I want to welcome you back to another Wednesday evening live stream here with the Shower Door Professionals. Once again, just like every Wednesday at 5:30 Pacific time, we're here doing our thing. And if you're watching in the Facebook group and you want to join us on this call, you can do that by just clicking on the link in the description. If you click on it, it'll come on in, and I'll let you in probably. I let most people in, unless I recognize your name and I don't like you. There's not very many people like that, though. I like almost everybody. Anyway, I digress. I'm glad you could join us this week. We have a guest speaker. It's Dillon Lockhart from Patriots Payments. Patriots Payments is an America First proud payment processor and a supporter of small businesses across this great country of ours. They offer fair pricing, great solutions, integrations, and US-based support, which is always awesome. And so I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Dillon and let him talk, tell us, some of the information he's brought to share with us, 20 or 30 minutes. You can share if you want. And if you're not the speaker, go ahead and mute yourself. Like I was saying, Dillon, you can go ahead and share your screen if you'd like, if you've got something to present like that. And we'll just save the last half of the stream or so for questions. So without further ado, Dillon Lockhart.
Thanks, Chris. I finally got in here. There was a passcode, just so you guys know. Well, it's great to be here. Thank you guys for having me. If you guys have any questions at all, don't feel bad if you interrupt me. Just ask your questions, because honestly, there's a lot of companies out there, and you guys operate your business differently than a GCS or whatever the company is. So if you ever have questions, just please type it in the chat box or just ask, okay? So like Chris was saying, I run a payments company called Patriots Payments. We like to work with small businesses, medium-sized businesses that really appreciate hard work, doing what's right, doing what's ethical, having integrity, right? Doing what you say you're going to do, and just being honest, because a lot of times we deal with people that are not honest, and it's not the way we do business here, right? If we make a mistake or have an issue, right, we're going to solve it as fast as we can, so both of us can move along, right? So I've been in the payments industry since 2018, processing payments. So however you guys process your payments, whether it's using follow-up, whether it's using a Stripe or a QuickBooks or a Square or some other software, business software, right? My job is to become a consultant, right? Is to look at what you're doing from a 30,000-foot overview and really start from there, right? Because without asking questions, I don't really know what's going on in your business, what you're using, how you're doing it, why you're doing certain things, and really your costs, right? So I don't have some fancy PowerPoint to present to you. Payment processing isn't very sexy. Neither is payroll, neither is business insurance or insurance in general. But it is important, right? Our costs matter, your costs matter. And if you look at what's going on in the world, right, it's probably not going to get better anytime soon. So looking at your expenses really does matter, right? So if I wanted to give you a little case study, and because we're proud partners with GCS, Follow Up, and Glass Experts, I don't know if if a lot of your companies have multi-locations, but GCS has 5 locations, and I just wanted to share a little bit more about that account because it's very unique, and it goes to show what we can do, what we're capable of. And just by building a relationship with Brandon and Chance over the last year and a half, it really helped as we got into a partnership here, because they trusted me. They know if something came up, they could text me, they could call me, and I was going to handle it, right? So that's super important. But so if you look at GCS, they have 5 locations all over the country. So they needed really an enterprise type system, right? So a system where they had a dashboard where they could see all 5 locations. They had different users that could see this account and this account, but this account they didn't need access to, right? So a multi-location solution with different user availability was super important. How they take their payments, so sending payment invoices or invoicing, we needed to have that payment capability. And then a lot of their guys are in person, right? So whether they're taking their first 50% deposit in person when their team are on site, taking their last measurements, how do they take the payment, right? So we gave them different options on how to take that first payment, and then honestly how to take the last 50% of the payment too. So just giving them options on what works best for them. And if it didn't work the way that they wanted it to, whether it was interrupting their flow or whatever the case may be, right? There's so many different variables that come up, but it's all right. So if that wasn't the best route, let's try this. And so really at Patriots Payments, we're very flexible. It's our job to find the correct solution, find the right pathway of what's going to work for you guys, right? Because at the end of the day, it has to work for you guys. You have to like it. You have to be happy with how it's working, how it's functioning, and it can't be a nuisance to your team, right? Because let's face it, our jobs are hard enough. Getting opportunities, building networking opportunities with builders and contractors, and right, and just running your businesses, it's already complex, right? So dealing with payment processing, you don't want to add any more hurdles to your already business model that has a lot of chaos involved, right? So getting back to GCS, you had the multi-location, you had the different users, you have different payment options to suit their needs, whether it's per location or if it was the first 50% of the project or the last 50%. So the solution we're using right now, they're the first 50% of their project. They take that payment, whether it's through their mobile app or the payment link, and it actually stores that card. So what's great about this solution is a lot of solutions work by the customer having to click save or store card, right? Which kind of can be a pain in the butt when you're trying to finish the project. And the last 50% you're waiting a week or 2 or 3 weeks on because the customer hasn't paid the invoice yet, right? So with the solution we're using right now, they can go in there, the card's already stored, and they can go and charge the last 50% of the project, which saves a lot of time, saves a lot of headache. They're in, the customer's happy, and all is well, right? So you're not sitting there with invoices that are not paid for weeks on end, right? So that's a few of the features that we worked with GCS on. The other side of it was, I mean, they were utilizing Stripe beforehand. They didn't have any support. So a lot of these softwares, a lot of these solutions, you're having to chat with the chat box. You're having to call into a 1-800 number, be on hold for 30 minutes or an hour, or try to communicate through email, which is really, I'm sure all of you can attest to this. It's frustrating when you can't actually talk to someone who cares. And truthfully, we're making money to support you. So why would we not support you, right? And do what we can. So the service was huge for GCS and Brandon and Chris and Chance when they made the switch. And then a lot of processors talk about saving the money and being the lowest guy, right? A lot of this industry is a bunch of people full of crap. But my goal when I started working with these guys was to obviously save them money, because at the end of the day, I want to give them and give all of you guys a long-term solution where you can grow with me and I can grow with you, right? I want to save you guys money because at the end of the day, you have payroll, you have all your business services, your marketing, you're paying for leads, you're giving discounts to contractors or whatever the case may be. So every dollar matters, right? So giving you guys a solution that works, servicing you if you need something, and then saving you money, it all works together, right? So like I said at the beginning of this call, is I become a consultant. I would become a consultant for you guys, and if I can't truly help you, I'm going to let you know that, because at the end of the day, we're still going to stay in touch. We're still going to stay friends, but you might want to come back 6 months later because you had an issue or something happened with your current provider, but you know that I'm going to take care of you and that I'm going to be honest with you, right? Because timing does matter. One huge important piece with contractors like yourself, right? You're busy, whether it's a one-man show or you have multi-locations. You're busy. Changing anything, any type of business service can seem like a headache. Maybe you've tried it before. My job is to really handhold throughout the process, right? So whether it's integrating with QuickBooks, whether it's integrating with some sort of software like Follow Up or whatever contractor software you're using, my job is to help you guys as you make the transition, to test it, to work with your team to make sure that everything's smooth. And if anything comes up during the transition or after the fact, I'm a call away, I'm a text away, and my job is to make sure it's fixed as soon as possible and everyone's happy. So, I mean, Chris, I don't know what else there is. I mean, payment processing, it's
Right.
It should.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, here's my thought is that, okay, finances, banks, it sucks. I mean, I banked with, the big banks, like Bank of America, whatever, Wells Fargo, for a number of years when I started out. And to those guys, I mean, like, I was like less than a number, I mean, when I called them or I tried to go in or something to talk to somebody or get help, it was like impossible. Yep. Because they're so big, they could care less. And if I threaten, I'm going to close my account, they're like, okay, good, here, let me help you with that, let me help you to the door. I mean, it was kind of their attitude, and so I started, banking here locally, with a smaller local, bank. And when it comes to like merchant services, I mean, it's the exact same thing, right? You get in with these same people, right? These same bad actors, because Bank of America would love to do your merchant services or whatever, right? But it's the same thing. It's like when you have a problem, who do you talk to? You call some phone tree, press 2 for English, and then and you never get any help. So, I mean, to have somebody that you can go to, an individual contact that you can call up and say, hey, man, I'm having this problem, and know that there's somebody there who cares about your business because they're a small business person like you, or medium size or whatever, you know what I mean? But they're not some huge multinational conglomerate that could care less about whether you get helped or not, man. I mean, it matters to you. whether we're getting taken care of. And to me, that's the biggest part of it. Maybe you can save us a little money, and that's always good. Everybody likes to save money. But really, man, we want to know somebody in the business, somebody that we like, someone that we trust, maybe someone that we have something in common with, that we can call up when we got a problem that'll fix it. I mean, does that make sense?
Absolutely. And truthfully, unfortunately, you have to have a bank, right, for your deposits to go into. But knowing what I know from the last, since 2018, whatever year it is now,
Yeah, right.
I would never
Groundhog Day. It's Groundhog Day.
I would never process with a bank, just because I know if there's ever an issue, good luck getting it solved. And typically your banker doesn't know how to price people, right? So if you ask them questions about your pricing, good luck. They're not going to know what's going on. So and yes, it does matter having support. I've signed a lot of accounts. I still have accounts from 2018 when I first got into this that are still with me, and they could leave and they could go save a penny here, 10 basis points there, but they know that they're not going to get the support that they need when something actually does come up, right? And I've been seeing more and more stuff lately with the bigger guys, the Squares and the Stripes of the world, PayPals of the world, shutting accounts down, right? And a lot of times these accounts, they've never had an issue, and everything is all fine and dandy until you have an issue.
Until you have like the wrong opinion about something.
Oh, yes. So make sure you have the right opinion about it.
Exactly.
So my job is to just be honest, be truthful with you. If it's a good fit, awesome. I'd love to support you. I'd love to work with you. And maybe right now is a good time, or down the road, right? I have a lot of people, a lot of merchants, a lot of customers, that 6 months down the road, they'll end up coming our way. And it was just that relationship building process, right? They wanted to have multiple conversations. They wanted to see me post. They wanted to hear from references. They wanted to get to know me better, which is totally fine, right? I understand that. One thing that I wanted to kind of speak about. So right now I'm in Southern Virginia at a lodge. I left dinner to speak to all of you guys, but it's a mastermind for a group called RT Syndicate, and it's run by Ed Milet and Andy Frisella. I don't know if any of you guys are in coaching groups or masterminds, but I highly recommend it. RT is about really personal excellence, practicing personal excellence every single day, raising your standards, and really building a network of reliable people around you, right? Because we all have our good days, we all have our bad days. You have to have individuals around yourself that can help you through the tough times, and vice versa, right? It's our jobs to go above and beyond for our network. And at the end of the day, right, friends and family, we're all entrepreneurs here, right? They don't really understand what we're going through on a day-to-day basis, right? So connecting and being around like-minded individuals is very important, just because they know what you're going through, right? And then if you localize that, it's as I told you earlier, I take more of a consultant role, and Brandon could probably talk about this all the time, because he probably gets annoyed that I tag him all the time and post about GCS all the time, but it's because I care. And I also want to connect him with other service providers, because I want him to continue to build his network of referral partners and individuals in his area that are going to help him win. or if he needs a good, reliable person in the area, it's important. So my job is not only to provide payments, to consult, but I care, right? It's to give advice if you need it. It's to help you through other things. And truthfully, a lot of my clients do become friends. So Brandon and I have become pretty close from this partnership, just because we talk all the time now. And I think that's how business should be, right? You want to do business with people you like, know, and trust. So
Yeah. Absolutely. Yep. Know, like, trust.
I got some shit. Go.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah, please do, Brad.
I don't know if he wants to go into any kind of detail, or it might be just a quick answer, but we're using Smart Builder and Stripe. And I would like to be able to turn off American Express, because they won't, according to Christina, that they're going to process anything that's being paid through them. But I'd love to turn off American Express. We had somebody the other day who paid on that, and it just struck me a little bit.
yeah, Brad, with our solution, you can do that. I'm not sure why. Are you getting charged a lot more for Amex, or what's going on there?
I don't know what the amount is right now, but I imagine it's near 4%.
Okay. Shouldn't be.
Probably more. We get a good rate with Stripe, but with regular credit cards. But so I didn't know if okay. So you're dealing. I mean, you're doing the payment processing, and do you have a portal or something that connects with the Smart Builder?
So what I'll do after this, Brad, because there's so many different softwares and solutions out there, I'll look into Smart Builder and see what I can find. If you want to shoot me your info in the chat, I can get back to you on that. So if they allow third-party integrations, we can chat, or just get on a call and see what's going on at some point, just so you know what's going on. Being in my position, I would never tell you to not accept Amex, because a lot of, and truthfully, you shouldn't be paying 4%. There's no reason you should be paying 4%.
That's way high.
But a lot of clients want those Amex points, right? So, and there's a lot of Amex cards that process at the same rate as Visa, MasterCard, and Discover. So maybe a decade ago, there were larger discrepancies between card brands, but not anymore.
Okay.
Amex does have a 30 extra basis points card not present fee. 30 basis points. It's not terrible, right? So you could swipe on this on those transactions if you wanted to, but Amex shouldn't be no more than 2%, 2.5% all in, even if it's a B2B card. So
Okay. Well, it's been a long time since I've actually looked at the rate. I just remember what I used to pay for it, and just kind of made a mental note that, hey, I don't want to take Amex. So, okay.
I definitely would, just because a lot of customers want to. I was looking at one of GCS's accounts the other day. A quarter of their volume was through Amex. So it's pretty significant. And typically, if someone's using a Amex card, right, they could be a business owner, or they're the demographic that you want to take care of, because they're the ones that are going to probably spend a little bit more and value quality over the guy that comes in under you guys to try to save him $500 or $1,000 on your quote, right?
Mhm. Okay.
So good
Yeah,
question.
I'll check in on that too, just see what I am paying, but yeah, you're welcome to give me a call. I'll shoot you a message here.
Okay.
Thank you.
I would say the reason we were kind of excited to bring Dillon on, and we knew, processing payments isn't some sexy call that everyone's just, jumping for joy to get on, right? But it goes back to the reason we brought Mitch on, who was just such an incredible public speaker.
My man.
But
We couldn't even post it. It was so good.
it was so good, man. He's just great. And Mitch really is a really great guy. But the reason we were excited to bring Dillon on here was the partnership effort of it. So I have a good friend who owns a very large company. And at one point when his company hit that hockey stick growth, they were processing a couple $1 million a month, like overnight. That went from doing under $100,000 a month to over multi-million dollars a month overnight, and the bank thought it was fraud. So the payment processing company shut his business down, right? They wouldn't process any cards, and everything he did was online. So they thought he was like running an illegal gambling ring or something like that. And he didn't have he had shut his gyms down to build his online business. And then from the online business, they shut his payment processing thing, and it's fraud, right? And if he would have had a partnership, right? Not just Stripe, not just Square, not some payment portal, but somebody that he could have picked up the phone and said, hey, look, this is the real deal. This is what's going down in my business. I can't afford to not process these payments and have all these chargebacks going to customers on the attempt that they think it's fraud. And that's why we brought Dillon and Mitch and people like this on, because partnerships matter. Knowing somebody and having a relationship with somebody who has skin in the game or cares about your business like you care about your business matters, right? It could be a make or break situation for you. So Dillon has been a game changer for us, not only saving us bottom line dollars and saving us percentages on every transaction that comes through our company, which adds up. That's that bottom line we talk about, right? Not overall revenue, but bottom line, putting more money in our pocket. That's great. But we have a relationship with someone that we can pick up the phone with, we can speak to, and they have care, like he was talking about. They have integrity. They want to do the right thing. They want to figure out a solution, and he'll actually go to work at that problem with you. And if he can't solve it, he lets us know, and he gets back to us. And that's invaluable to us running the business that we're trying to run, is having those relationships. So I would say that not real sexy, but if you could save a little bit of money and you can have somebody there that actually cares about your business, and if a problem were to arise, you guys were going to get some hockey stick growth and grow overnight, and people were to mark you as fraudulent, it'd be nice to have that partner that you could pick up the phone and not pick up the phone and talk to somebody in India who's just going to transfer you to somebody else the next day. It is nice to have somebody that's here, that's local, that cares. So that's why we were happy to bring him on, and we're just hoping that he can share some of this knowledge. And if you guys are having problems with your processor, you can give him a call, you can give him a ring, right? He might be able to help you out and figure a solution out. He might be able to help you integrate with Smart Builder and integrate with some of your other softwares that you guys are using. He's been really great with helping us integrate our systems and all of our credit cards. And it's not perfect yet, but we're optimizing every day. And if you know anything about how Brandon runs this business over here, nothing is the same as it was yesterday. We're always evolving, and we're always trying to get better every single day. We're always looking for improvements. We test things. We don't get stuck in our ways whatsoever. We're always testing and switching, and hey, let's try this split A/B test and see if this works better than that. And if we can prove that it does, then we'll unload it to the rest of the location. So I think that this isn't going to be some long call where we just sit and dive in. But on that same thing, the reason we're all here is we're trying to build partnerships. I know Northern Glass is a friend of ours from Instagram, and we had a job that was a little too far out from our Santa Cruz location with Chris the other day. And because of this little group that we've developed on here, I was like, oh, you're in Fremont. I know who could take care of you. And I just hit somebody up and he was able to land 4 showers out of the deal, right? Just by us having these partnerships and these relationships, this is what's going to drive your business to be better, is by creating good, lasting relationships and always living by that word of integrity, and standing by that. And so take advantage of the people that come on here, take advantage of the people that show up every week and speak to one another. That would be my little spiel on this little go around with deal.
Little spiel.
Little spiel.
Little spiel.
Yeah. So lots of good comes out of these calls. Like we can make them really powerful. I see that Dillon has a Arte syndicate.
Talked about it earlier.
He did?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he has the shirt on, and like that's a huge group with a great networking, like, and we kind of have that in a smaller scale in our little tiny niche of the world, doing heavy glass and shower doors, So just
Gives you an idea. Mastermind.
Yeah, everyone talks about it. No one's put the plan to action yet and actually made something happen. But I think we all have that underlining idea in the back of our head. Just need Chris to put it together already.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Chris.
that's right. I'm on it. And I have to disagree with you, Chance. I mean, I don't think anything's more sexy than money,
Yeah, I mean,
mean,
I think you're right.
money, come on, it's like making it, saving it, spending it, you name it. It's
If I could
good.
fill my mattress with just money and sleep on that, I think I would.
Stuff it, man. Stuff it. Yeah. And it's like, and again, if you're an innovator, if you're someone who's on the move, you're someone who wants to do things differently, then you need a partner who can help you do that. And it's like, and if you're try calling some big bank and saying, hey, we want to be able to accept money this way, or we want to be able to let our customers pay this way, or what do you think? And it's like, man, you got to spend an hour just to get to someone, a human to talk to. I mean, that's never going to work. You're never going to grow a business like that. And if you're just like kind of a static business, hey, you've been doing it this way for 40 years and you're not going to fix it, then probably anybody is going to be fine, to help you do that. But if you're someone who's kind of moving and shaking and wanting to do things, shake things up and disrupt things a little bit, you're going to need someone to help you with that. You're going to need somebody who, like, on a first name basis, that you can call and say, hey, Dillon, how do we do this? Can we do this? And have someone who will dig in and say, I don't know, like he just did right there, with Brad's questions, like, I don't know, I'll look at it. Let me look at it and let me see what I can do. I love that kind of an attitude, man. I mean, that's the kind of people I want to hang out with.
Chris, I was going to mention, I'm changing my agreement with GCS, and I won't take calls after 6 p.m. Eastern anymore. So.
I was just gonna say the customer service was awesome, but
was.
I text him in the morning and he'll text me back. He's like, would you stop texting me so early? I'm trying to zen, man. Like, you're bothering me.
Brandon's bringing me problems at 8 a.m.
Hey, there's this button
Better
on your
than
phone,
three.
man, that you
Better
can
than three.
push. There's this button on your phone you can push and it doesn't ring at all.
Well, truthfully, it was just because I've already told him things 5 times. And so this was the 6th time. Like, this is why. But,
Pretty much.
Go ahead, air it out. Nobody's watching.
I would just curious, out of curiosity, could anyone on this call their payment processor tomorrow and have them pick up their phone? Like, knowing, like, hey, could I negotiate my rate? And they would negotiate the rate with you. Yeah. And they would give you a lower rate. You've been able to negotiate that and get them to talk you down.
I'm not seeing any hands going up.
Stripe is okay via email, but I would never even try to call them. And we've negotiated a rate with them successfully, but I don't know if I could do that.
They have
all the
gone
time.
up though. They're over like 3.4% now, average.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Alright.
Just recently, they're actually, I'm pretty sure they're being sold right now. So they just did a big layoff. They're trying to rake in as much as they can because they're actually being sold.
Wow.
Super. Good to know. Thank you.
Square used to be at 2.9 and they're at 3.42. So it's like to go to the bigger people, you know, that kind of, it hurts sometimes to not be able to like, or even if you're negotiating back to your old school terms that you started on because they've had spikes since then. So
you got to look at like credit card processing. It's like everyone always says, oh, it's the cost of doing business, but it's not really the cost of doing business. Like if you can get a lower rate and save a little bit, it's like getting $1 off a hinge. If you're doing volume, that $1 off a hinge over how many thousands of showers that you do a year saves you a ton of money on your bottom line. So a little bit of even a 0.5% saves you a ton of money on the bottom line. I mean, we're saving thousands of dollars a year and have the customer support, which is awesome. So,
or one of the things like everyone likes is like, I choose to buy everything on this credit card because it has the best cash back, right? And then other people go like, well, I just buy everything ACH or just bank to bank transfer and I don't have to worry about that. But it's like, why wouldn't you want to get 2%, you know, cash back when or you could get the one card that has 1%. But if you could, you know, if you're doing such volume, I think at one of our locations, we had a credit card that we were getting 1% cash back. The next year we switched and it went from, you know, 17,000 cash back to $34,000 cash back just by making that little switch. So 1% changes can make a company that much better. It compounds over time.
One thing I forgot to mention, there are contractors and businesses that want to charge the customer a surcharge or a convenience fee, and that is something that we can do where it automates it. So if you don't want to pay fees, that is something that we can talk about. Go ahead, Billy. Sorry to interrupt you.
I didn't say anything.
Billy's got nothing.
It was just showing your privilege. All right.
I mean, I can throw something in. So
All right, there you go.
he's actually,
we've got-
Billy's in North Carolina, where by you, not too close to you, but by you.
Where are you located normally?
Winston-Salem.
We're in Asheville.
Not
We're
bad.
in, hold on, Asheville. Now, my question would be, so when I've gotten into these negotiations and these discussions in the past, we're typically having to sign a contract with these companies that may be, you know, a year, 2 years, 3 years, that kind of thing. So when you're talking negotiating power, like Brandon and Chance, you know, when you're talking rates and negotiating that out, where do you get your negotiating power in that when you are signing a contract with a company that's managing this for you?
Volume.
So,
Just how much-
So I mean, because with me, I can't go, okay, well, if you don't lower rate, I'm gonna do this thing. Which normally is what I would say if I were dealing with a manufacturer or somebody supplying me a product. I'm gonna say, okay, I've got the same product available from 5 different people. Who wants my volume? But if I'm in a contract already, where do I get the negotiating power at that point?
It's tough. It's tough when you're in a contract. That's why I would never go. I was in a contract for 5 years with Wells Fargo, and then I went to Clover and all that. But I would never go into a contract with a lot of things anymore, just because I feel like people don't believe in their product when they put you in a contract. They're just trying to lock you in. So like, you know, we went to Stripe with no contract. We're with Dillon with no contract. Contracts are tough.
Merchant services has been the one area that's extremely difficult for us to stay away from contracts. We negotiated in between. So when we got out of one, we negotiated to get the next one. But it is, you know, it's typically a couple years minimum. And then there's a heavy fee if you want to try to get out of it. So that's been an issue we've dealt with the negotiations. We have like a very small period of time in which we can negotiate in between.
So from now on, just understand that red flag. Don't ever sign a contract, because most contracts, they're going to increase your rates because they already know if you want out, you're going to have to pay.
That's the whole point of the contract, right? It's to raise your rates.
So we don't have contracts. If I don't take care of you, I don't make money. So it's in my best interest to take care of you guys. So don't sign contracts.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Do not sign contracts.
And if you do, send it to me.
I mean, I will say that we did sign a contract. I'm super happy with the company that manages ours. We agreed that there's no rate increase. That was an agreement upon the beginning of the contract. So we did negotiate those things initially. But it's worked out well for us, to this point. But I agree, because signing contract sucks. We try not to do it at any point. But we did it directly through our small bank. That's a local small bank. This was the company that they used directly. So it all intertwined together well, and that worked really well for us. So it's different than what you're doing. But there are other ways to do it. And I agree, contracts are bad. And what you're offering is a great different way to do it. So kind of like everything we always talk about, there's no exact for anybody, but knowing the options is the key. Knowing what's out there is the big thing.
So one thing I would add that I forgot to mention, one of GCS's location, a quarter of their volume was business cards, commercial, corporate, and purchasing. So with the card brands, with the correct solution, which is what we gave them, they're actually getting better rates on those business cards because we have the correct solution. So take a solution that doesn't have, it's called B2B optimization, interchange optimization, okay? So you're taking these business cards that could be at 295 down to 2.05, just from having the correct solution. So this may or may not be the case. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at what's going on, but they could be offering you a good rate, but they might not be bringing down the rates on the interchanges from a lot of the cards you're taking. So we could basically match their rate, and you could still be saving a lot of money. Does that make sense? That just goes back to being the consultant part of me, where wouldn't I want to save you guys more money on these business, commercial, corporate purchasing cards?
Yeah. All right, who has a question? Who has a question? Anyone? Well, maybe we've just covered it, There's a lot of good information right there.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Dylan, if you want to put your email or something in the chat, everyone can copy it or whatever, how to get a hold of you.
Yeah, absolutely. And all of this information is going to be in the post too, when I post this to the Facebook group, and then also to the YouTube post. I'll make sure all of his details are in there.
Anyone that's using follow up too, it's integrated with follow up now as well. So you can just text out links from follow up.
Yeah, that's been pretty sweet. That's worked pretty well. And I love what he was talking about, how you can just save the card and then charge the balance to the same card. And I'll just reach out to the customer and say, hey, would you like me to just charge this to the same, card you use? And they're like, yeah, that's great. I mean, they really see it as a convenience.
That's been so sweet, not having to chase people down.
And just so you know, it's legal in every state in America to save their card and run the final balance on completion if it's in your contract. As long as they know and they sign off that you're saving their card, it's legal in every state.
So put it in your terms and conditions, send out with every estimate that people sign off on, and then boom, as soon as you're done, you could swipe that card. I mean, you could even write it in your terms and conditions to, I'm going to swipe your card on the day of the install, swipe it before you even go out and install if you wanted to do it that route.
We ran into a lot of issues with trying to chase down people for final payment. I'm sure everyone has, where people like, oh, I'll pay later, or I'll get to it so now it's like, so the installers out in the field, to make it easy, they say, hey, do you want the office to run the card on file, or do you want to pay with a different card? And if they say we want to pay with a different card, then they're right there. Okay, we'll take the card right now, and we'll pay right now. So they can't just get away from it.
And no,
So-
Billy, he's like a master
Y hacen
negotiator.
todo lo que es glass, pero no hacen comercial. Y hacen puro shop.
I would say Billy is a master negotiator. That's why I wasn't surprised when he raised his hand. And Billy also does something even cooler than us, where he negotiates getting 50% deposits before he even shows up to the job, right? So he's pre-selling the job, collecting 50% before he even goes and measures that thing.
Yeah.
So I think there's some cool things in there. You can negotiate how you get paid and when you get paid.
Just want to get paid.
Yeah, the way your business, you want to operate your business, right? Like when McDonald's first started, people thought it was probably pretty crazy that they could just walk up to a window and get a burger in 3 minutes. But no one waited, no hostess sat them down. There wasn't a table with, silverware or anything. Like it was a to-go burger, and that was a pretty odd thing, right? So you can create your business to work to your favor and use payments as a part of that process and the model of your company. So I think Billy did a really good job at that, and people could take
that advantage of an advanced country.
Yeah, it might be a little different in Nigeria there, Tunes. But I mean, you guys could get away with a lot more than us. Who knows? I mean, we were just talking about you today, and like you're installing commercial glass with no shoes on. Like we can never get away with that, man.
I would like to, though.
own,
I
bro.
would like to do that. That'd be awesome, man.
So I have a question about about saving the credit card numbers. Maybe it's different with different providers, but where does that get saved to? Because I don't want to be responsible for that that card.
Well said.
It doesn't get
Yeah.
saved to my personal account anywhere, right?
So it's a good question. It's stored in a vault, so you actually can't see the full card data. So
You have no
you're-
responsibility of it.
Yep, you're compliant.
So there's no way I can get hacked and then be responsible for any of that, right?
Hackers.
I mean, I would say the software company would be at fault for that, but I can look into that if that's a question you're
Yeah, I mean,
looking to. You can also you can turn that function off as well. It doesn't have to store it.
But the information isn't saved locally and to your computer. It's saved remotely. So it's in the cloud or whatever, somebody else's computer, not our
right. I
computer.
guess that's what I'm asking because, I mean, we've seen too many reports in the last several years where big companies have been hacked and had all their credit card data stolen. And I mean, what a nightmare for them, but can you imagine what it would do for a small company like us?
I would say
we don't have time to do that.
I'd say if us small glass companies are getting hacked by hackers, they're probably going through a pretty bad recession.
Maybe you're bigger than you think if you're hacked.
So,
Hey,
so
Brian,
I
I'll
guess-
say with us, what we do with ours, we don't even see credit cards anymore. So we're using a little bit different system, but I'm as guilty as anybody, and I'm sure if other people can raise their hand, I've written credit cards down on many a sticky note back in the day. And it made me super nervous to do that, but that was the way I kept cash flow going. We never see credit cards. We send out a payment link. The customer handles all their information themselves. It's digitally encrypted. So I'm never seeing that. Nobody in my office can see the credit card number. So it's always protected, and that's under our bank's encryption. So they would have to get into the bank's, database to be able to do that, which is not even tied to my stuff. So that's typically how it's done. It's not held in anything that you have personally. It's not going to be in any of your personal information. So if they're hacking you, they're not going to get to that. They would have to go directly through whatever entity is managing that. And I'm sure like somebody like Robert could probably touch on that a little better than me, but I know that I wanted nobody in my building to have access to anyone's credit card anymore. It was too much of a liability, too much of a risk. So when we go in and we run someone's credit card, we can't see their number. We see the last 4 digits, and we can see their name and their basic information, and we can send them an email receipt immediately. but there's no access to that information for anyone at any point. So there's no concern of that on our end.
So when you're on site taking the final payment from the customer, then do they hand you a credit card and you dip it or swipe it?
No, it's where ours is also vaulted. So we're holding on to that credit card information through the whole process. I'm not going, for too long, I had to chase people down, and that's what everybody's saying. That was the worst part, was trying to find people on the back end, especially when we're taking checks. So we don't, that's in our terms. When you sign off, when we finish, we get it back. Now we have a buffer, so we usually have a few days to a week in between time in case something comes up for when it's processed, but it's ran by our office automatically on the back end. We're not taking anything on site. I keep my guys out of that side of the numbers as much as I can, so they don't have to mess with it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and the way we're doing it at GCS is, if like we need to take a credit card payment on site, we just send them a text or an email so they get it on their phone, and then they fill out the form themselves. So it's like we're not getting the information, they're putting the information in. And then that way, yeah, we never have to even look at it, you know, so.
So Dylan, what does that
Same-
do to
same here,
rates?
Brian.
Because it's not dipped.
What's that?
What does that do to rates since it's not dipped or swiped and it's not personally handled?
Yep. So in that case, it's goes into the card not present. It doesn't really change the cost that much. Amex is a little bit higher, but most cards aren't. There isn't much difference.
Okay.
There you go.
Hey, Billy, you mentioned that you take those credit cards like you do. So are you paying a service fee? Are you passing that on to the customer somehow, or are you just accepting that as a cost of doing business?
So this is a discussion that I've had with several people before. The argument is the cost of doing business, and Brandon mentioned it earlier. If anybody's doing work in showers, you know that the margins, if you do it right, are good. And with our, one-time customer, our homeowner base, we put that in our price. So I do pay a service fee for the service of vaulting and keeping credit cards, but the time I spent chasing people down for payments on the back end, they don't play with each other at all. Like hours spent trying to get checks and get people's credit cards and getting promised I was going to get payment and then still having to contact them 2 or 3 more times. There's no comparison. There's no comparison. So I will say this, and I want to touch on, it's not a pitch, but Brandon and I do things very similar, but also very different. All of this is done through follow-up. All the communication, the links sent, the payments coming in, all of it's done through follow-up. So that's the portal we use to get all this information out. We're just using different services to do it. So that's the distributor of information that makes it easy, because it lands on this for everybody that everybody's accustomed to. So
I would say
that's where we are very similar.
We try to charge a percentage to the customer, a convenience fee. And just so everyone knows, not all states you're allowed to charge a convenience fee to run credit cards. Some states you're not allowed to. But we got a lot of pushback for it by charging the card. So people would pay with check, and then it would take longer to get the payment. So what we did was we just bumped up our factor when we sold the job. We just bumped up the factor, the 3%, whatever it was. And every customer got charged that. So we ended up making more money because of it, by doing it that way. And you don't really notice it too much building it into the price. So,
yeah. Exactly. Just figure it into your cost.
It's a game you play back and forth, because you figured in your cost goes up, your percentage goes up, and then you end up paying more because you're taking credit cards at a higher number. But at some point you just have to go, I'm making better numbers, I'm spending less time. And time is the whole kicker for me.
Yeah.
Is I'm pulling time back, and time is something that even money can't pick up. That's the big kicker for me, is I don't want to waste the time that I was doing before. If I can find something that steals the time back, that's better than the money factor on my end.
Yeah, that's huge.
Look how sexy this call got.
See, told you, money's sexy.
It just took a minute, you know?
Yeah, you know.
Distraction.
You're right.
I put all the contacts in the chat if you want his information or the page or to sign up for a call for Dillon to save it now.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob. You're the man. He's always on it.
Rock and roll.
Yeah.
Kevin, how's Dallas? I see you there.
Hey, I want to apologize for not getting back to you. I've just been super busy, but
it's fine. You lost a quarter percent.
Right. Hey, and I mean, a 0.25%, it doesn't sound like a lot, but at the end of the year, I know it's going to add up a lot. Right now, I'm working on making payments to someone for $1,000, and I'm looking forward to when that payment's over, because that $1,000 is going to be able to, you know, go somewhere else. It's not a lot. I'm a small business, so to switch over with you and at the end of the year save, you know, $2,000 or whatever it is, that's going to, you know, be able to give my guys bonuses, barbecues, whatever the case might be, you know. But for a small business, that's a lot of money, you know. So here shortly, definitely, I'm gonna be making a switch when I find time. And once again, I do apologize for not getting back to you.
No worries. I'm just giving you crap.
Yeah. Gotta do it. Gotta do it. Well, hey, Dillon, I want to thank you for coming and doing this tonight. It's awesome. Taking time away from your dinner, away from your mastermind. But before you go, I do have to ask you one question. Looking into the future, what do you see?
Oh, geez, Chris. I see a fruitful future with a lot of giving back, helping people, and success and happiness.
I like it. I like it. Good answer, man. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. That's going to do it for this week's live stream. But be sure to join us again next week. And it's going to be great. Let's see. Who's our speaker next week?
Me.
I think Rodney was on. He must have hopped off. But
Yeah, is Rodney still on?
Yeah, Rodney McCordy. I met him on LinkedIn. He does Redline templates. So they do the laser templating for like railing, showers, all that kind of stuff, like what you see with a lot of the big granite companies. And I think the coolest pitch that he had was they do it for a really cheap or inexpensive fee. I won't say cheap, but an inexpensive fee. And if they mess up on any piece of glass, it's the wrong. So say you got a crazy railing, even curved stairs, they'll do the templating for you with his laser machine. And if one piece is wrong, if all the pieces are wrong, he has to buy the new piece for you. So it goes on his cost. So it could be a great, like I see people all the time saying, how did you measure for that curved railing? How'd you measure that crazy stairs case? I think Rodney's going to be able to add a lot of value to a lot of companies.
And he has people in a lot of different states.
Yeah.
That'll be very interesting.
That sounds good, man. I can't wait to hear it. All right, everybody. Have a fantastic week. See you back here next Wednesday.